Elvis Presley is remembered as the king of rock and roll, a symbol of charm, rebellion, and musical revolution. To the public, he was polished, generous, and endlessly charismatic. Yet behind the rhinestone jumpsuits and carefully managed smile lived a man deeply affected by insecurity, pressure, and a rapidly changing music world. Like many artists who rise quickly and carry the weight of cultural expectations, Elvis did not move through fame untouched. There were musicians and figures who unsettled him, not always out of malice, but because they represented shifts he could not control. When the spotlight began to move, few moments challenged Elvis more than the arrival of the British invasion. When the Beatles burst onto the American scene, they didn't just succeed, they redefined what stardom looked like. Their casual image, outspoken personalities, and collective power contrasted sharply with Elvis's carefully structured persona. While history often frames this as rivalry, it was more likely discomfort. Elvis had fought hard to make rock and roll acceptable, enduring public criticism and moral outrage. Seeing others reshape the genre without those same battles left him conflicted. The world was changing, and for the first time, he was no longer leading the charge. The weight of cultural rebellion. John Lennon, in particular, represented a kind of artist Elvis struggled to understand. Lennon was openly political, confrontational, and uninterested in tradition. Elvis, shaped by Southern values, faith, and patriotism, found that approach unsettling. This tension wasn't simply personal, it reflected a generational divide. Where Elvis sought unity through music, Lennon embraced provocation. To Elvis, that shift felt dangerous, not just artistically, but socially. It wasn't hatred so much as fear of losing the moral balance he believed music should preserve. A changing definition of talent. Bob Dylan posed a different challenge. Elvis admired songwriting and emotional depth, yet Dylan's raw, unpolished delivery conflicted with Elvis's belief in vocal mastery and performance craft. Dylan symbolized a new era where message mattered more than presentation. As audiences gravitated toward authenticity over glamour, Elvis felt the ground beneath him shift. The industry he helped build was moving away from spectacle, and that transition left him feeling increasingly out of place. Chaos versus control. Jerry Lee Lewis unsettled Elvis for more personal reasons. Both shared similar roots, but where Elvis embraced discipline and image management, Lewis embodied chaos. His public scandals and reckless behavior threatened the fragile respectability Elvis had worked so hard to earn. For Elvis, this wasn't competition, it was anxiety. Lewis represented how quickly success could turn into self-destruction, a possibility Elvis quietly feared for himself. Old guard versus new sound. Frank Sinatra's early dismissal of rock and roll lingered longer than public smiles suggested. Elvis respected Sinatra's talent but never forgot how harshly the genre, and by extension its pioneers, had been judged. Their eventual public collaborations were cordial yet emotionally distant. Sinatra symbolized the establishment Elvis had once been excluded from, a reminder that acceptance had come slowly and never fully erased earlier wounds. Trapped by success. Perhaps the most complicated relationship in Elvis's life was with his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. Parker played a central role in Elvis's success, but also in his confinement. Decisions that limited creative freedom, relentless touring, and financial control gradually left Elvis feeling powerless. The resentment that grew was not loud or public, but it was profound. Fame had given him everything, and taken just as much. Seeing himself fade. In later years, Elvis was deeply troubled by impersonators. What fans viewed as tribute felt to him like erasure. Seeing exaggerated versions of himself on stage made him feel replaced while still alive. It was a painful reflection of how fame can outgrow the person it once celebrated. A human legacy. Elvis Presley's conflicts were not fueled by cruelty but by vulnerability. He lived at the center of a cultural earthquake, expected to remain unshaken as the world evolved around him. The figures who troubled him were mirrors of change, reminders that even legends are human. Behind the crown was a man trying to hold on to meaning in a world that never stopped moving.